my vision, every desire. Keep for your glory, my soul inspired. With your perfection and your holy love, flooding my pathway with light from above. And fill all my vision, Savior divine, till with your glory my spirit shall shine. And fill all my vision, that all may see your holy image reflected in me, reflected in me.
Good afternoon and welcome to Coffee and Conversations. My name is Jason Goodson. I'm here with Johnny Taylor. It is November 29th.
Yes.
It's post-Thanksgiving, and we have for a few minutes here the legend, the myth, the new father, Stuart Shoemake.
Hey, everybody.
It's good to have you in. We just saw some incredible pictures of his newborn, Josiah, and heard him make his little, baby noises. And so he's doing really well, and it's good to have you on with us. How was your Thanksgiving, Stu?
It was great. Ate more than I could hold. And,
Oh, yeah.
of course, got to show off the son to some of the family for the first time. That was really cool. So
It's pretty cool,
Good.
isn't it?
Yep.
So it's a bit of a pride moment, isn't it?
It
show off.
is.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's good. It's awesome, man.
Yep, that's my boy.
That's right. That's right. That's right, man. We went up.
As if there would be any doubt to that, considering the faces that he's making.
No doubt.
Stu's got a great picture of his son who's making what he called it the Zoolander face, and Blue Steel would be good. That's a good caption for that one. Oh man, and we met probably. I left. I believe it was Tuesday evening. Went up to Broken Arrow and spent a few days there, and wanted to comment. It sounds like we've got some weed eaters outside.
Somebody's racing motorcycles down the street.
We have. We went up there for a few days, and when you get into a house up there with Mike and his family, who have 5 children now.
Yeah.
And then Dave and Jolie have 3 and working on number 4, who's coming soon. And then we have 3. There's a lot of kids in the home.
A lot of people.
Friday morning, we're all together, and we get this lady comes over and takes pictures.
Yeah.
Every year we go up there, and they try to get some kind of picture taken of the family because there's always somebody new there.
Yeah.
I tell you what, this is another Lucy Goodson story I'm going to throw out for you real fast. And what happened was we get out there, and they get the families together, and they're all taking pictures, and all the kids are smiling, and
Yeah.
all this kind of stuff. And so we get out there, and it's our turn. Well, Lucy is not happy. And when Lucy is not happy,
Nobody's happy.
she turns it off. And buddy, she turned her head to the side, and she didn't look forward. We were outside. It was one of those great family picture moments where we're sitting around the rocks, and
Yeah.
the whole time Lucy's head is turned and down, and she is not looking up. But everybody else has just kind of got this big old smile on her faces, and then so we never got a picture of Lucy that was decent enough to call a family photo for the Christmas card that you send out,
Yeah.
So later on, she's upstairs having a timeout just to settle her down a little bit, and we get I set her up on the bed, and I said, "Sweetie, what's wrong?" And she looked at me, and she says, "Well, I'm sad, Daddy." And I was like, "Oh, broken heart," And so I said, "Well, listen, let's go." So let's go back downstairs and let's have some let's have a picture being taken of you, and maybe we can get it cropped in. See if that lady's good enough to. So finally, she conceded and went back downstairs. And buddy, that little child hammed it up like you don't know. She hammed it up good, man.
Yeah.
She finally put that smile back on her face, but anyway, she was not. It was not her moment.
Yeah.
Lucy, man, I love that child. And it
Did
was
you ever get to the bottom of what she was upset about?
well, we tried. But I'm not sure that what the exact reason was. I just think maybe that she did not want to participate. She had a bowl of cereal sitting on the kitchen table when we pulled her away from it, and I believe that might have been partly
That
the
was
reason.
why she was sad.
Gotcha.
And so
She does like the food.
she's like her daddy. I mean, it's you pull me away from food sometimes, and I get pretty depressed and upset myself.
I hear you.
But we had a great time overall. And JT got to spend some time with family.
Yep. Stayed there for a little over a week. That was fun. Hung out. Ate lots of food as usual.
He calls it grazing.
Yeah, we go into graze mode.
I saw that on Facebook.
Yeah, we just kind of once you eat the initial
Yeah.
meal, then you just kind of go and hit the leftovers about every 2 hours
Yeah.
for the rest of the weekend.
Oh man. I mean, your stomach expands during Thanksgiving. I got a little short little talking point real fast, and I was looking earlier at the news, and I got to bring this up because it's God's fault. I just want to set this up real fast, okay? So I'm running across this news, and yesterday the Buffalo Bills played the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Bills, of course, are a young team, and they're getting better. And in overtime yesterday, they had an opportunity. A man by the name of Steve Johnson, a wide receiver, had an opportunity to catch a pass in the end zone, and he dropped the ball. Okay, he dropped it. Now here's Buffalo Bills wide receiver blames drop pass on God. Okay, so here's what I've got to read this because it's hilarious. Here's what his tweet said. He put this on Twitter afterwards, and I'm going to give full credit to Mr. Johnson for this, for Steve Johnson. He says, I praise you 24/7, and this is how you do me? You expect me to learn from this? How? I'll never forget this, ever. Thanks, though. Johnson tweeted.
Wow.
At least he's honest.
That's what's so funny about the whole thing. It's just that it's like all of a sudden he's like, I can see him. He's upset. He's gone through it. He dropped the ball, had a gaff, messed it up, and then he blames. It's not my fault. It's God's fault. Man, I do that. You know how much time, But if he's sincere at heart about that, I'm okay with it.
Oh, yeah.
What's his name?
Steve Johnson, Buffalo Bills. It's on Fox News
I'm
website.
just looking for him on Twitter.
You did?
That's what I'm looking for.
So, anyways, he's in this, and of course, anytime that a superstar, an athlete like this, who is on a team, who starts, who does well, anytime they put anything on Twitter, they put themselves out there to be ridiculed and criticized.
Yeah.
And I ran across this while ago and just thought it was hilarious. He didn't have a bad day. I mean, he just dropped the ball at the end of the game. It was one of those. It's like Roy Williams, at the end of the Saints game, running down the field, and happy as can be, the ball in the left hand instead of the ball in the right hand, and all of a sudden they get stripped, Harry Porter, and game over. So. But at least he stood up there. I will give him credit for this. He stood up there and he said, I'll take the blame for the loss today. I dropped the ball. Then you have this. It's God's fault. But if Roy Williams would have said it was God's fault, I would have been like, whoa, dude.
Well, it makes me wonder, does he say it's God's doing when he does well?
I hope
That would
so.
be my question.
But he says, I praise you 24/7. And this is how you do me? He was not happy. And it's all like in this large capped.
But I must say, I like the honesty.
That's
if
good,
That's
isn't it?
the way he is all the time. Then
Hey,
that's pretty good,
that's all right,
actually.
man.
I actually like that.
Well, and it,
Breaking news, guys.
What's that?
This is my source is footballtalk.com.
Okay.
Source God fined 50,000 for not helping Bill Steve Johnson.
Well, that's just funny,
man.
man. Yeah. Well,
But how you think about it? How many people really believe God's in control? That God is actually God?
well, that's such a, you're right. But if he's, we've talked about football players on here before,
Yeah.
but you see stuff like that and you think most, it looks ridiculous is what it looks like.
Yeah.
How come he can't take responsibility for himself? But I understand it looks that way. But then you think about it, man, at least you're right. He has at least a honest word. And if you don't think God can't handle that,
Yeah. And here's the thing. If he gives God credit for his talent,
right?
if he does that, then he's absolutely right if he blames God if he drops it.
But, I'll never forget this.
And he won't, probably.
He probably won't. There was a mom down in South Florida when we were down there in serving, and her son was up to bat, big moment of the game. We were there, and bases loaded, 2 outs, 2 balls, 2 strikes, and he ends up swinging through the ball and striking out. It would have been a big moment and stuff like that. And this woman she was what we consider a godly woman, really, just really loves. She does though. She really loves God, and she walked away from there and she just came back later on saying, "I'm just really ticked at God right now." And so, so there's moments like that. Like we went this past Saturday. My cousin, her oldest boy, is a quarterback for Abilene Cooper. He got to play on the football field at Texas Stadium, the new one.
Yeah.
Now, that's the biggest stage of football in America right now. He's sitting there, and we're watching this game. You know that big screen that runs from the 20-yard line to the 20-yard line?
Yeah.
All day, it was right on him.
Yeah.
The whole time. And big kid, throw the ball really well. He had an awful game. They ended up getting crushed,
Yeah.
But he's a good quarterback. It was a lot of fun, and I sat over there thinking, if that was my boy out there and had a bad game like that, I'd be ticked at God too right now. And so my thoughts. I don't know that I would have tweeted that thought, but
Yeah. Yeah.
anyways, interesting in itself. You're right though. There is a time and place for. We always talk about it's good to be honest with God. Why can't we even share that stuff?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the thing I've said before. If you walk in a church and whether you've been there before and you walk down front and share your junk with people, all your mess,
Yeah.
and they throw you out, then that's not really a church.
No, you're right. It really
If
doesn't.
you can't be honest about who you are.
Right. It doesn't really seem to go with the way that we deal with people, though, does it?
No, I mean, I don't think you could walk down most church aisles and do that and not
And not get thrown
get
out.
ostracized. I wouldn't. I know that.
No. I had a thought. Steve Johnson drops a pass in the end zone. I wonder if he believes that God is for him, like you were talking about earlier. Do you think that
Not at
Christ?
the moment, obviously.
Well, not at the moment, but you think overall though.
I would, like I said, if he gives God credit for his talent, and that might be disillusioning a little bit when he dropped that ball. You never know.
The moments today. Here's an example. Last night I'm sitting at home and I had this feeling on the inside that today I was going to get observed in class. I had the feeling and I even knew it's going to be fourth period. I just know it.
Yeah.
And I was scrambling last night going, okay, what am I going to do, God? I have no idea what I'm going to do. I've got ideas, I got thoughts, but I have no clue what's happening.
Yeah.
And my internet quit working. And so when I'm, planning and doing my and stuff for school, a lot of times I'm at home planning on the computer for the next day. Well, when the internet went out, I got worried.
Yeah.
I got real worried. So, what happens today? Fourth period, I am returning from the restroom, and up behind me comes the principal. He says hello. I say, "How you doing?" He keeps, he's right behind me the whole time, and he walks right into the room with me. Sits down in the back of the classroom, and here we go. But I tell you what, it could have gone really bad.
Yeah.
But last night when I was sitting on that couch, and I had that thought that he was going to be in there, and we were going to get observed.
Yeah.
I just had that immediate feeling of, okay, this is going to be okay. And guess what? It was a moment there that I thought, okay, it was one of the better lessons I've talked about this year.
Yeah.
It's because God showed up and helped me.
Yeah.
Now,
Cool.
my last time I observed, I fumbled all over my words. It wasn't good.
Yeah.
It wasn't clear. There was nothing good about it.
Yeah.
All right. But I didn't feel like God left or it was God's fault. But it was one of those days where I was pretty upset with self more than I was at God. Now, is that different? If God is in control of it and I'm fumbling all over myself, is that considered, I don't think I should have been ticked at God that day, but I don't know. Just throwing out a scenario.
Yeah.
But I really felt like his presence was there today.
Yeah.
And that was cool. That was really cool. Trying to think. Romans 6. Real fast. Let's see.
Romans 6.
Romans 6, yep.
What part of Romans 6?
That's what I'm looking at here. I'm looking for that designation there and there. In the first part of Romans 6, he's talks about being identified with Christ in his death,
Yeah.
in his burial, and his resurrection. And he talks about the importance of that, because recognizing that we're dead to the flesh and we're alive to him in the spirit, is that we're not stuck underneath the law
Yeah.
over here, but we are alive to him in the spirit. And I think part of Christ being for us is that we have to understand that what he did on the cross for us, the work on the cross, and being identified in that and believing that is a part of understanding that Christ is for us.
Oh, yeah.
It's a part of understanding that we're not on our own and that we have a representative in Christ that stands in our place. So it says, he talks about, should we keep on sinning so that there can be more grace? He says, heaven forbid, no. How can we who have died to sin still live in it? Don't you know that those of us who have been baptized into Jesus Christ have been baptized into his death, and through baptism into his death, we were buried with him, so that just as through the glory of the Father that Christ was raised from the dead, likewise we too might live a new life. For if we have been united with him in a death like his, we will also be united with him in a resurrection like his. And that's just such for me, it's comforting.
Yeah.
Because what I want to do, what I want to say, and how I want to live my life, and how I want to control it, and how I want to do all that stuff. For me, sometimes I have to step back and realize that I got to be identified in this, and understanding that I'm not living underneath this flesh, and I'm living in Christ and in who he is. And when that dude followed me in that classroom today, I immediately went to this thought: all right, Christ, you're going to have to do this, because I'm not going to be able to handle it. And he did. He showed up. And so, I don't know. For me, that's just a small reminder that it's good to know that Christ is for us, and that, whether you're ticked at God or not, that he's for it. I think he's for Mr. Johnson over here, too, who dropped the ball in the end zone yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
And I kind of hope he realizes that. I hope he realizes that's a big part of what he's doing, and he's a big part of what we're doing. What we're doing here. He's a big part of what Stewie's doing in Mississippi. Even in being a father, that you got to realize that sometimes you have to rely upon Christ to get through the things.
Yeah, I was trying to remember what we talked about, because I remember saying something last time about the podcast not being about people out there listening. It's about our carrying on our relationship with God.
Yeah.
And that's what everything is about.
Yeah.
Not that other people aren't important, but I can't help other people outside of that relationship.
Right.
I can't do anything for them outside of that relationship.
Right.
And can't do anything for myself outside of that relationship. So,
Ooh, that's good, man.
But I had the thought while you were talking there. Have you ever had anybody, you're talking about God being for us, have you ever had anybody say, hey, I want to get to know you?
Yeah.
Is there any better feeling than that?
It's good.
And it just struck me. I know why that's such a good feeling, because that's exactly what God created us for, is to get to know us and us to get to know him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's constantly coming, I want to get to know you in an intimate way.
Right.
Not just in a created way, but in an intimate way.
Right.
Although he already knows us that way, the other side of that.
Other side,
what
we get to experience in that.
It
Yeah.
completes that relationship
Right.
if we get to know him in that way.
Right.
So that's really, because I can't think of anybody telling me anything that would make me feel any better or think that somebody was for me any more than that.
Yeah. That's good. Wow. That's good stuff. Stu, is he still with us? Is he
Yes, he's there somewhere.
He's
Stu.
left the room.
Changing a diaper somewhere. I hear him sniffling.
Yeah, he must be
He's coming back.
into the house. Hey, listen, one of the things that fires me up about this relationship that we have with God is not wanting to go, and I don't know, we're 15 days, 14 days, less than that?
Listen at.
Less than 14 days away.
Yes.
We're heading to
We will be
Mississippi.
in Mississippi next Thursday.
Really?
A week from Thursday.
Holy smokes, that quick, huh?
Yes.
Rock
So it was
on,
2
man.
weeks from Thanksgiving Day
Wow.
that we're going to be in Mississippi.
Right.
Start that retreat on Friday,
That's right. That's right.
which really fires me up.
Yeah, we're heading over there, and to get there and to do what God has called us to do, and I don't even know what that looks like all the way. I don't know the full extension of what that's going to be like, and I just know I'm fired up about it. I know I'm fired up to be there. I don't know how it's going to turn out. I don't know if and the worries that I have, they're not they're not whether or not God's going to show up.
Yeah.
I think he's going to show up. I believe he'll show up. Worries are not, and for the first time, it's not, my worries are not, okay, are the kids going to like me? Because it's not about that. If the kids like me or not.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about if the adults like me or not. I'm not worried about if they're gonna hear a clear message or not. There's things that I used to worry about. Those things were pretty heavy on my heart for a long time.
Yeah.
Because, man, I wanted to be liked. I wanted them to like the God in me because of how good I sounded and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like that over time, God has just prepared my heart for this time coming up in December for this past year, or however long I believe it's been 8 months since he told me that this was going to happen.
Yeah.
And just starting to begin, to get closer and closer and closer to it, it's just firing me up because I know that, going to share with students that Christ is not only for them, that he's in them and that he wants a relationship with them.
Yeah.
That fires me up. That gives me hope. That gives me, and plus I just get to go hang out with some of the greatest people on earth.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to do that, and that fires me up. And I hope Stewie can make it.
Stewie is still online, but obviously he's not at the microphone anymore.
Well, anyway, we're very excited to be there, and we look forward to sharing with the folks there at Lake Forest Ranch too. And it's going to be.
Yep.
I hope it's cold, man.
It's
I love it.
I was looking at the long range forecast, and I think it's supposed to be in 50 in the daytime, but 30 and 28 at night, and freezing rain one night.
Dude,
Possibility.
that fires me up.
Big old fire in the fireplace in the main hall. And
Oh man,
I am going to take my sleeping bag. Depending on where we're sleeping, it can be pretty dang cold in that place.
well, I tell you
in
what,
that kind of weather.
yeah, I tell you what, it's I love Lake Forest in the wintertime. Probably my favorite time to be there. Overall, probably my favorite time I've ever been out there is during the wintertime, and been able to just enjoy. Man, I love when we get to build a fire in that place, man. It's great.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
great.
Especially that kind of cold
Yeah.
when it feels really good to get up against the fire.
Yep. It's gonna be awesome.
Have some home roasted coffee, and we'll probably stay up all night.
That's right. I know. We'll have to
Oh my!
be careful. Well, I'll tell you what. I've enjoyed talking about Christ being for us today. I feel like the understanding of that coming into being identified with that is pretty important.
Oh, yeah.
And being identified in such a way that it allows you to understand that you're not under the law, but you're under grace.
Yeah.
What a joy that is. So next week we're gonna meet here, same time, same place, and we're going to finish up